Hi everyone, Brian Bear Bull Traders here. It is Sunday, November 24th. And we're getting close to the end of the 11th month of the year. And this week, obviously, a short week with the markets being closed on Thursday, US Thanksgiving. Friday will be a shortened trading day, as always, following Thanksgiving. So, got a short week, and we do have some earnings coming up this week. A few earnings. We've got Deere on Wednesday, got a few other ones Tuesday and Monday, but Thursday obviously quiet and everybody out doing the turkey thing. So let's just take a look at the week that was. Let's look at some stocks that might be of interest in the coming week here. Take a look at some of the stuff we've got on. And start out by looking at the markets on Friday. You can see here it's I keep calling this the Annie Lennox market because it seems like every day we get a sell off on the SPY and it comes right back up. And the Nasdaq and the Dow, all the indexes sell off in the morning and then they come back up. Andy Langs, here comes the rain again. I would like to say, here comes the SPY again, rising back up. And that's where that phrase is coming from. So that's what I think I'm looking for that on Monday. We'll be gapping up by the looks of it, unless there's some news overnight. I suspect we'll get a sell-off, and then I suspect we'll come right back up again, just as usual. So presents a good buying opportunity, whether you're just doing it as a day trade, you're finding a bottom here, maybe even taking some SPY calls at the money and then selling them end of the day. But it just seems like a good trade. Let's take a look at the groups quickly. I don't want to turn this into a long video as usual. Try to keep it 10-12 minutes. Healthcare was a great performer on the week, and healthcare has been a really good performer. It was underperforming for quite a while there, and it's coming back up. Utilities on the week, financials on the week. It was a bit of a down week, but yeah, utilities, the safety trade, financials flat on the week. Technology, rest of them kind of flat, except the conglomerates really took a hit here. So let's take a look at our market indexes, the transports. I was flagging this because it looked like transports were breaking down. They broke down on this trend line. Did a bit of a bounce on Friday after we had this week, primarily this week, a sell-off. So we'll keep an eye on the transports. Again, it doesn't seem to be overly weighting on the Dow and the other indexes, but still a bit of a concern when you don't see this following the indexes up. The 10-year, we kind of seem to be maybe just getting into a bit of a range here between 195 and 170 on the yield curve that we just may end up chopping here. RSI is flattening out. So, and on the week, bit of a down week. Let's take a look at this on a monthly chart, just out of curiosity. Again, doesn't these kinds of doji candles or these kinds of candles don't look overly constructive for a move higher on the yield. So I suspect we're stuck in this range here. I had a weekly there anyway. So let's take a look at the Dow again. We had an off week. These couple of days of selling, and then Friday a bit of a bounce back. We did come back, fill this little bit of a gap here. So and this trip quite often happens when you have a breakout and get a pullback, check back to where it broke out from, and we just look at here. We get a gap up, check back, gap up, bit of a not much of a check back there. Gap up, bit of a check back. So we could be just doing the same thing here. We may push higher, or we may sort of start flattening out. Volume was not spectacular on Friday. Let's take a look at the weekly. Yeah, again, you see a week, a bit of a pullback week here. Trend is still up, but we're getting a bit of a pullback here. Flat day on the small caps. Let's take a look at the weekly quickly. You can see here we're kind of stuck in this, trying to break out of this level here, where we've tested a number of times. We're just struggling to break out here, and I suspect this week will be no different. We'll trade in a range, unless we get some big news on something like the trade deal. But it just seems like it's a can that keeps getting kicked down the road here. Let's take a look at the weekly on the Qs. Again, kind of a indecision week, bit of a down week, doji candle. The large caps. Again, same story here. Not much price action. Not pulled back from the high. Kind of held the low, so volume was coming up a little bit. Nothing really huge one way or another. And the dollar broke out here. Looks like we're coming back up and testing this range here, so probably explains why gold was weak this week, and that's why we got out of the rest of our position on Nugget. Still had a nice profit on that trade, on that swing trade. Again, the VIX, the volatility index, just nobody expecting the market to sell off or do anything much. We're just right back down here at this 12 level here, 1234. We went out on the week, and I suspect we'll still stay down there. Let's take a look quickly at what we got on watch and maybe some of the stuff we've got. Baidu, I think it's going back up to 120. I bought some calls on that one, and I think they're 118 calls. So I paid just under $1 for them. So they need to change. They need to trade over 119 by the end of next week or end of this week to be in the money. So I may bail out of them if we gap up in the morning here and take whatever profit there is there. But it does look like maybe it wants to test, come back up and test 123 maybe, 122. So I'd keep an eye on Baidu. All of these, I think, you just watch the morning, look for that pullback, and that's a lot of these that are in play specifically on earnings or announcements or something. I think you just watch for a pullback in the morning, and that's when you want to jump in on a lot of these. CLVS I was looking at, like I said, the healthcare stocks. I was looking at a number of the healthcare stocks. They've already run up quite a bit, so I'm just a little bit nervous jumping into these, but it looks like CLVS could be just a good continuation play, and might be a good entry somewhere around 8. If we get a bit of a pullback here, I'll be setting an alert for that. And stop will be somewhere around 7 if I do take an entry on that. RSI's looking pretty strong. We've got a gap to fill. We pretty much have filled this gap right here. Next level is we really have to get through this 9 level, and then we could be good up to pretty close to 10 on this trade. So RSI, like I said, looks strong. 50 moving average curling up. Again, kind of getting really late on this trade, so I'd keep it small. But volume picking up again here on this, and just moving with the rest of the healthcare stocks. We do have MDCO. I saw there was a buyout announcement by, I think it's Novartis. That'll probably open up strong tomorrow. So we'll see where that opens up. I think it's in the $85 range, and so we're going to have again Merger Monday, as they call it. So Nugget, this is the stock we caught this nice little bounce here off this 200-day moving average, and profits all the way up, and just took the rest of the money off on I believe it was Friday as it started to pull back. So we're going to see if it holds this 200-day or if it breaks through it. I think if we see some more weakness, I may look at taking dust as a trade. If we start to break down below the 200, we could be in for another gap down, maybe filling this gap here on Nugget, so you can short Nugget or go long dust. Take a look at dust in a minute. OPGN was one I was looking at. On a scan I did, kind of looks interesting here. It looks like it's holding. I don't usually go with these dollar stocks. I usually like to trade things that are higher, but this one seemed kind of interesting when I was doing my scan. Has a big gap to fill, so it might be kind of an interesting play. Looks like volume starting to come in on it, and if we get a bit of a pullback here on Monday, I might look at taking a position on this. And certainly up here 170-ish area is probably going to be some resistance. And if we really can get through 170, then I'd be looking at a big gap fill here, hoping to get up to around 3. But they did a secondary. They did a $2 secondary, $2 on the secondary and $2 on the warrant, and that's what this sell-off is, I believe. So I'm like I said, I don't know why it got hit so hard, but I like the price action. Looks like we're putting in a double bottom here as well, and I'd kind of use probably under $1 as a stop. If I can get in around 120, I'd be real happy with that. So something I'm looking at there. Again, it's not usually something I go after in the dollar range, but it could give us a nice pop here. Um, Roku, we've been day trading. It looks toppy here. 160 is where it's having some trouble. 155 is 150. Well, one sort of 51, 152 is where it's finding support. So it just seems to be kind of trading in a bit of a range right now. So I'd be just keeping an eye on it and keeping an eye on those levels. Looks like it was a low here, 154.56. So 155 seems to be support from Friday. What was it on Thursday? It was 154.13. So 154.50 on Roku. It looks like kind of support here. So barring any news, and then 160 is kind of where we keep rejecting from. Interesting sort of trading range to keep in mind. Here's another one came up on a scan I was doing. Again, SERV, SERV. Looks like it's starting to curl up here. I wish I'd caught it earlier. Here's this nice pop, this flag, and now we're breaking out again on some building volume. So just keep an eye on that on Monday as well. If we get a bit of a pullback, maybe to the 37 area, we might be able to catch a catch a ride up to 40 on this one. Give a nice risk to reward, and then I'd use 36. That was low here, 36.14. 36 is a stop. RSI coming back up out of the really severely oversold, I should say. This is the kind of scan you could have picked up earlier in the week on a really oversold situation. I was just looking at the semiconductor index. This is really where we had a bad week last week for some reason, and a lot of the stocks took a bit of a beating. Square is something I'm still in. I'm looking for. This is a swing trade. We've taken some profits, got back here. I'm still looking for this sort of 69 level, this 200-day moving average. If we can get there, I'm still hanging on. It still looks like it wants to go higher. So I'm just trying to have some patience there. TBT, this is kind of TBT and TLT are trades on the treasury bonds, short and long. So you can see here they're kind of stuck in a range. I'm not really interested in. At least they don't look interesting. TNA, again, small cap. This is where we're kind of stuck in this range. ETF, again, I'm not, it just seems stuck right now. UNG gap up on Friday. I don't know, this just seems all over the place. Seems trendless at this point. USO, we kind of had a pop up and then we're back again. Volatile energy market too, so hard to trade. Xilinx was a stock that one of our traders brought to my attention, so I thought I'd look at it. Here's this level 90. It seems to be trading against. So that's possibly. Let's just take a look at the daily. You can see here it's tested this. Here's 89 level. Now we've tested this level, which is a 90, 91 level. Well, the low of that was 89.50, and now we're testing sort of 90.30 here. So it's definitely looks interesting. The semis, as I was just saying, looked kind of beat up last week. Xilinx could be putting in a bottom. This could be 1, 2, 3rd bottom. It could be putting in, so you can trade. You can pretty much trade against this 90 level. We've got 90.61. Not looking very promising, but again, it could be putting in a bit of a bottom here, so it's definitely something to watch on Monday to see if if we start to get some decent price action coming back into some money coming back into the semis. But again, moving averages kind of rolling over. RSI maybe flattening out here. MACD maybe starting to come back up. It just still looks pretty weak. So just careful on that one. All right, everyone, that's it. Hope I haven't run over too long here. This is my book on Amazon. It's How to Swing Trade by Brian Pezim, me. If you haven't had a chance, check it out. And yeah, so we will see you in the Bear Bull Trading Room on Monday morning, our short week coming up. Have a great rest of the week, everybody, weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.